Captain John Peters had been in space for what seemed like an eternity. He had seen and experienced things that were beyond imagination. He had visited strange new worlds, witnessed the birth and death of stars, and explored the far reaches of the universe. But nothing had prepared him for what he was about to encounter. Peters was part of a team of astronauts on a mission to explore a planet that had been detected by the most powerful telescopes on Earth. The planet was located in a distant galaxy and was thought to be capable of supporting life. It was a dangerous mission, but Peters and his team were well prepared for the journey. The landing was rough, and Peters had to use all his piloting skills to bring the spacecraft down safely. As soon as he opened the hatch, he felt the heat and humidity of the alien world. The planet was lush and green, with towering trees and strange plants. The air was thick with the sound of chirping and buzzing insects. Peters stepped out of the spacecraft and looked around. He could see no signs of intelligent life, but he knew that he had to be cautious. The planet was full of unknown dangers, and he and his team were the first humans to set foot on it. As he walked, Peters began to notice something strange about the world around him. The trees were different, the plants were unlike anything he had ever seen, and the animals were unfamiliar. It was then that he realized that this planet was not just different, it was ancient. He checked the readings on his equipment and confirmed his suspicion. The planet was over 65 million years old, dating back to the Cretaceous period. Peters was stunned. He had landed on a planet that was older than his own planet Earth and was home to creatures that had been extinct for millions of years. It was then that he saw the first dinosaur. It was a small creature, about the size of a dog, with sharp teeth and a long tail. Peters froze, unsure of what to do. He had never seen a live dinosaur before, and he was not sure how to react. As he watched, the dinosaur moved closer, sniffing at Peters' feet. Peters remained still, hoping that the creature would lose interest and move on. But it didn't. Instead, it reared up on its hind legs, baring its teeth and hissing. Peters knew that he had to act fast. He reached for his weapon, a high-tech laser gun designed to stun and immobilize any hostile creatures. He aimed carefully and fired. The beam hit the dinosaur, and it fell to the ground, stunned. Peters took a deep breath and looked around. He realized that he was not alone on the planet. There were more dinosaurs, some small and harmless, and others large and deadly. He knew that he had to be careful if he wanted to survive on this ancient world. Peters retrieved his equipment and began to explore the planet, careful to avoid any dangerous creatures. He knew that he had a lot to learn about this strange and mysterious world, and that his survival depended on his ability to adapt and survive in this hostile environment. As Captain Peters ventured deeper into the lush forest, he realized that he was not alone. The dinosaurs were everywhere, and they seemed to be watching him with a curious eye. He had never felt so vulnerable in his life, knowing that at any moment, he could be attacked by these prehistoric creatures. Peters' training had prepared him for many different scenarios, but he had never encountered anything like this before. He knew that the creatures were not just dangerous, but also intelligent, and capable of hunting in packs. He had to be constantly aware of his surroundings and ready to defend himself at all times. The first few days on the planet were spent setting up camp and exploring the immediate area. Peters and his team quickly realized that they were not equipped to deal with the dangers of the planet. They had to be constantly on the lookout for predators, and their weapons were not always effective against the thick hides of the dinosaurs. Peters soon learned that he had to adapt to survive on this planet. He started to observe the dinosaurs and learn their behaviors, their hunting patterns, and their weaknesses. He discovered that some of the smaller creatures were easy to scare off with loud noises, while the larger predators were more difficult to deter. One night, Peters and his team were ambushed by a pack of raptors. The creatures were intelligent and coordinated, attacking from different directions and using their speed and agility to outmaneuver the humans. Peters knew that they had to act fast if they were to survive. He ordered his team to fire their weapons, using the laser guns to stun the creatures and create a diversion. The raptors were momentarily stunned, giving Peters and his team enough time to escape. They ran through the forest, the sound of the raptors' screams and growls echoing behind them. Peters knew that they had to find a way to defend themselves against the predators. He spent the next few days experimenting with different weapons and strategies, trying to find a way to protect himself and his team from the relentless attacks. Finally, he came up with a plan. He and his team constructed a series of traps and barricades, using the local vegetation to camouflage them. They also built a series of decoys, using mannequins and holographic technology to distract the dinosaurs and lure them into the traps. The plan worked. The dinosaurs were caught off guard by the traps, and many of them were either killed or captured. Peters and his team were finally able to relax, knowing that they had created a safe haven in the midst of the dangerous and unpredictable environment. However, Peters knew that their victory was only temporary. The dinosaurs were still out there, waiting for their next opportunity to strike. He knew that they had to stay vigilant and be prepared for anything that might come their way. As Peters settled in for the night, he could hear the distant roars of the dinosaurs, a reminder that he was still a long way from home and that he was never truly safe on this mysterious planet. He knew that he had to keep fighting, keep surviving, if he was to make it out alive. As Peters and his team continued to explore the planet, they stumbled upon a series of ancient ruins that hinted at a civilization that had once thrived on the planet. The ruins were massive, stretching for miles in every direction, and were made of a strange, indestructible material that seemed to be impervious to the passage of time. Peters and his team were fascinated by the ruins, and they spent several days exploring the intricate passageways and examining the hieroglyphics that adorned the walls. The more they learned, the more intrigued they became, and they soon realized that they had stumbled upon something truly remarkable. It quickly became apparent that the civilization that had built the ruins was far more advanced than anything Peters had ever encountered before. The hieroglyphics told a story of a people who had mastered space travel, advanced technology, and had even developed a way to control the dinosaurs that roamed the planet. Peters was amazed by the sheer scale and complexity of the ruins. He knew that the civilization that had built them must have been incredibly intelligent, and he couldn't help but wonder what had happened to them. As they continued to explore the ruins, Peters and his team discovered a massive underground facility that was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The facility was filled with advanced technology and strange, otherworldly devices that seemed to be powered by a mysterious energy source. As they delved deeper into the facility, Peters and his team discovered a hidden chamber that contained a massive, glowing crystal. The crystal emitted an otherworldly energy that filled the room with a warm, pulsating light. Peters knew that he had to investigate further. He stepped closer to the crystal, and as he did, he felt a strange energy coursing through his body. Suddenly, he was transported to another place, a different time and dimension, where he witnessed the fall of the ancient civilization and the destruction of the planet. The crystal was a portal, a gateway to other worlds and dimensions. It had been created by the ancient civilization as a means of escape, a way to travel to other planets and avoid the cataclysmic events that were destroying their own world. Peters realized that he had been chosen to uncover the secrets of the crystal and to use its power to escape the planet before it was too late. He knew that he had to act quickly, as time was running out. Peters and his team worked tirelessly to activate the crystal and prepare for their journey. They gathered supplies, repaired their ships, and made sure that they were ready for whatever lay ahead. As they prepared to leave the planet, Peters looked out at the ruins and the dinosaurs that roamed the landscape. He knew that he was leaving behind a world that was filled with wonders and mysteries, a world that had once been home to an incredible civilization. But he also knew that he was heading towards a new adventure, a new world, and a new set of challenges. As Peters and his team blasted off from the planet, he couldn't help but wonder what other mysteries and wonders lay ahead. He was filled with a sense of excitement and anticipation, eager to explore the vast and infinite universe that lay before him. As Peters and his team prepared to leave the planet, they were suddenly interrupted by a loud roar that echoed across the landscape. They quickly realized that they were not alone on the planet, and that the dinosaurs were not as docile as they had originally thought. A group of velociraptors had spotted Peters and his team, and they were closing in fast. Peters and his team knew that they were in danger, and they quickly retreated to their ships, hoping to make a quick escape. However, the dinosaurs were relentless, and they attacked the ships with a ferocity that Peters had never seen before. The ships were hit by a barrage of claws and teeth, and the team was forced to fight for their lives. Peters and his team fought bravely, using their advanced technology and weapons to fend off the dinosaurs. They quickly realized that they were outmatched, and that they needed to come up with a new plan if they were going to survive. Peters remembered the hieroglyphics that they had seen in the ruins, and he knew that the ancient civilization had found a way to control the dinosaurs. He wondered if he could find a way to tap into that same technology and use it to his advantage. He quickly gathered his team and they set out to find the device that the ancient civilization had used to control the dinosaurs. They searched the ruins until they finally stumbled upon a massive machine that seemed to be powered by the same otherworldly energy as the crystal. Peters knew that the machine was their only hope, and he quickly got to work trying to figure out how to operate it. After several hours of trial and error, Peters finally managed to activate the machine. Suddenly, the dinosaurs stopped attacking. Peters and his team watched in amazement as the velociraptors that had been attacking them suddenly turned and walked away. The machine had worked, and they had found a way to control the dinosaurs. With the dinosaurs now under their control, Peters and his team were finally able to make their escape from the planet. They knew that they had uncovered something truly remarkable, and they couldn't wait to share their discovery with the rest of the world. As they flew away from the planet, Peters couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden in the vast expanse of space. He knew that there were other worlds out there, other civilizations to discover, and he was eager to continue his exploration. But as he looked back at the planet one last time, Peters couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness. He knew that the world he was leaving behind was filled with wonders and mysteries, a world that had once been home to an incredible civilization. And he couldn't help but wonder what other secrets were hidden on that ancient world, waiting to be uncovered by the next brave explorer. Peters and his team returned to Earth as heroes, hailed for their incredible discovery of an ancient civilization and the ability to control dinosaurs. The scientific community was abuzz with excitement, and the media frenzy that followed made Peters and his team instant celebrities. But Peters couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over him since their return. He knew that the discovery of the ancient civilization and the dinosaurs had changed everything, and he wondered what the long-term consequences would be. As he settled back into his life on Earth, Peters found himself plagued by nightmares of the dinosaurs and the destruction they could cause. He knew that the technology they had uncovered was incredibly powerful, and he worried about what would happen if it fell into the wrong hands. Peters' fears were soon realized when a rival corporation, envious of Peters' success, managed to steal the technology and replicate it. They saw the potential for military applications, and began creating an army of genetically engineered dinosaurs, intent on using them as weapons of war. Peters was horrified by the development, knowing that the dinosaurs were not meant to be used as weapons. He knew that he had to stop the rival corporation before it was too late. He gathered his team and they set out to stop the rival corporation, using their knowledge and expertise to fight against the army of genetically engineered dinosaurs. It was a dangerous mission, and many of Peters' team were injured or killed in the process. But Peters refused to give up, knowing that the stakes were too high. He finally managed to infiltrate the rival corporation's base and destroy the technology, putting an end to their plans for an army of dinosaurs. Peters returned to Earth a hero once again, hailed for his bravery in stopping the rival corporation. But the experience had changed him, and he couldn't help but wonder what other dangers lurked in the universe. He knew that there were other worlds out there, other civilizations to discover, but he also knew that with every discovery came the potential for danger. And he wondered if the human race was truly ready to explore the vast expanse of space, with all its wonders and perils. As he looked up at the stars, Peters couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder. He knew that the universe was vast and mysterious, and he was eager to continue his exploration. But he also knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, and that the dangers of the unknown were always lurking just around the corner. Years passed after Peters and his team returned to Earth, but the legacy of the dinosaurs remained. The scientific community continued to study the technology they had discovered on the mysterious planet, fascinated by the potential applications of genetically engineered dinosaurs. While some were hopeful about the future applications of the technology, others were deeply concerned about the ethical implications of playing with the building blocks of life. There were fears that the technology could be used for sinister purposes, or that the dinosaurs could escape and wreak havoc on the world. Despite the concerns, the technology continued to advance, and soon it became commonplace to see genetically engineered animals in zoos and theme parks. The public was fascinated by these creatures, but Peters couldn't shake the feeling that they were playing with fire. As the years went by, Peters watched as the world changed around him. The advances in genetics and biotechnology had led to incredible breakthroughs, but also to new ethical dilemmas that the world was struggling to come to terms with. Peters knew that he had played a part in unleashing this technology on the world, and he felt a sense of responsibility to ensure that it was used ethically and responsibly. He became an advocate for responsible genetic engineering, speaking out against those who sought to use the technology for personal gain or to further their own agendas. As he grew older, Peters began to realize that his time on Earth was running out. He knew that he had made mistakes in his life, but he hoped that his work in promoting responsible genetic engineering would be his legacy. He spent his final years advocating for conservation efforts to protect endangered species, and for the responsible use of genetic engineering in medicine and agriculture. He wanted to ensure that the legacy of the dinosaurs was one of progress and responsible use of technology, rather than one of destruction and chaos. As Peters took his last breath, he felt a sense of peace. He knew that his work had made a difference, and that he had helped shape the future of the world in a positive way. And as he closed his eyes for the final time, he felt a sense of hope that the legacy of the dinosaurs would be one of responsible use of technology and a brighter future for all. Captain